Process variation is the leading cause of inconsistent outputs, both in efficiency, like cycle times and inventory levels, and effectiveness, defects or unacceptable service levels. It is imperative that the people involved in applying the Lean Six Sigma methodology have the mentality that they can identify, quantify, prioritize, and reduce or eliminate the sources of variation in the process. Without this mentality, the success of the improvement effort will commonly suffer. This is a search for the sources of the problem. The answer is unknown at the beginning of the journey. The Lean Six Sigma methodology is a very effective methodology in uncovering and validating what the underlying performance factors are within the process. There are many sources that can cause variation in a process. These include the design of the process or product, the suppliers of external inputs, the process performance itself, the way we measure the process outputs, and even information used to run the process. The combination of these sources of variation can lead to the output produced exceeding customer requirement levels, leading to defects, also known as pain and suffering. If you want an initiative to be successful, you must catch the eye of management. Nothing catches the eye of management like money. Therefore, Lean Six Sigma projects should have an associated dollar value. Capacity metrics such as throughput, equipment uptime, and decreased investment costs all have a bottom line dollar savings to the company. Additional metrics such as yield improvement and a reduction in rework also add to the bottom line. Each process improvement project needs to provide a business impact, whether in dollars or in some business metric impact of significance to upper management. Without metrics, how will we know what impact was realized? A key premise in Lean Six Sigma is that the process output depends on some or all of the process inputs. This concept can be written as follows, which reads Y is a function of the X's. Here, Y represents the output of a process. The goal of the process is to improve this output. Each of the X's refers to a different process input. The goal of a project is to understand which X's have the largest effect on the Y, and then control the variation of those X's. By controlling the critical X's and knowing how they relate to the Y, the F in the equation, the Y will remain within the customer's requirements. Business decisions are made at all levels of the organization. In the past, many decisions were probably based on the intuition of a manager or executive. Lean Six Sigma changes the typical subjective data decision-making process to a more objective data-driven methodology using the roadmap. Minor issues can be solved with simple problem-solving tools, while the more complex performance issues require data and the proper use of statistical tools for analysis. The good news? Not all projects or decisions will need complex methods to solve them. Lean Six Sigma employs the use of the correct tools at the lowest level of complexity to solve the stated problem. If you imagine business improvements projects as apples on a tree, when a business first implements Lean Six Sigma, there are many obvious projects. These we refer to as ground fruit. These are the projects that are easily solved using basic business logic or have easily implemented solutions. The next level are those projects that require basic data analysis tools. These projects take more discipline and will benefit from following the DMAIC roadmap. The highest level often requires a complete change in the process. These issues often require a redesign and require the tools referred to as Design for Six Sigma and Supply Chain Integration toolsets. These efforts follow a slightly different roadmap called DMADV, or Define, Measure, Analyze, Develop, and Validate. Lean Six Sigma projects utilize a structured methodology. The methodology is called DMAIC. The letters stand for Define, Measure, Analyze, Improve, and Control. The DMAIC framework allows the integration and sequence of tools in an overall improvement strategy. This framework allows practitioners to attack problems in a systematic manner, virtually any problem. The tools in the roadmap have been around for decades. The alignment and order of application of the tools in the roadmap is the strength and uniqueness of the Lean Six Sigma approach to problem resolution. The DMAIC process steps answer the following questions. D for define. What is the important output of this process that needs to be addressed? M. Measure. What is the current performance level? How well can we measure the process? A. Analyze. What is wrong with the process? Which of the inputs have the largest effect on the output? I. Improve. What needs to be done to reduce the variation? Which variables are critical to performance? C. Control. What processes and procedures are required to ensure the improvement is sustainable? The output of a process is the result of the inputs, both controlled and uncontrolled. The purpose of the DMAIC roadmap and tools is to determine which inputs have the greatest effect on the output. The roadmap assists in trimming down or filtering out those inputs that have little or no effect on the output, allowing us to focus on the critical few. We then determine how to control those critical few, and the result is a more stable process output. Problem solving can be looked at in simple terms. We begin with a practical problem. This is the current location of the process, a statement of the issue at hand. This practical problem is then transformed into a more specific statement using statistical terms. Using the same example, the statistical problem is, how can we improve control of the inputs to the invoicing process, X's, so that invoice defects due to pricing errors, Y, are reduced to below the goal? In other words, can we determine the functional relationship between the inputs, X's, and the outputs, Y? The translation from practical to statistical problem statement occurs in the define phase. We now develop a solution that can be confirmed using statistical tools. The statistical analysis allows the team to prove the changes are correct. This is one of the changes we wish to make in companies. We want them to use data to confirm assumptions. Collect the data and the data will set you free. Finding the statistical solution is covered by the measure, analyze, and improve phases. After the team confirms they have a solution to improve the process, they need to bring things back to the practical or real world. How will the individuals who are responsible for this process implement the changes? What checks and controls are required to guarantee the improvements are maintained? The practical solution step sets up the necessary checks. This last transition is accomplished in the control phase. So how does a company get better? A company improves one process at a time. Process improvement takes tools, but an effective process improvement strategy is much more than just a bunch of tools in a toolbox. In fact, a common misconception is that Lean and Six Sigma are just more tools. Companies that just implement tools do not achieve the same level of performance as companies that realize that, first and foremost, Lean and Six Sigma are part of a business strategy. Therefore, process improvement is most powerful when it begins with and is driven by the organization's strategic goals. Those goals lead to specific business metrics that will provide insight into how well the company is doing. Metrics show the company's leaders the processes in which performance is not as good as it should be. Projects are chartered to address those problem areas, prioritized by how they relate to the strategic goals. Then we dip into our toolbox to help us attack the problem. A roadmap like DMAIC is useful in maintaining a structure for the project. What tools do we use? Whatever tools are appropriate to the solution of our specific problem. Some tools are very simple and are more geared towards the low-hanging fruit. Other tools are more complex, but may be useful in solving more difficult problems. As an organization learns more tools, it is able to attack a wider variety of problems. But the company's process improvement strategy should always be directly linked to its business strategy. Here we have the common elements for Lean and Six Sigma. Both use a step-by-step process with similar roadmaps. Both emphasize decisions based on data. Companies become more objective, not subjective in their decisions. Both methods work with measurable results. Without the measurable results, you are unable to prove the improvement exists. One of the most important aspects of any improvement methodology is upper management support. This does not mean simply having the management believe this is a good initiative. It requires active participation. They must allocate the necessary training, manpower, financial and material resources. Additional activities include management reviews of ongoing activities and review of key metrics. Finally, for each project, you must be able to answer the following questions. First, why are you doing this project? And second, how does the project's success matter to the organization? Until you have answers to these questions, don't expect to have upper management support. It's time now to summarize what we've covered in this module. We talked about how Lean and Six Sigma methods are focused on improving the efficiency and effectiveness, respectively, of a process. We showed that the integrated Lean Six Sigma methods apply various tools, following a roadmap to improvement, and that Lean Six Sigma is focused on making improvements with the least amount of risk possible through the use of data.